Yeah, you mentioned it Saturday night, but to look up in the stadium and see the crowd and the environment and the support, in spite of the season that you guys have had at times, what do you think that means to this team?
I mean, that's Clemson, and that's who they are, and it was awesome. I mean, just you could see it, you could feel it on the bus coming around. You could just feel the juice from the crowd, and it hasn't been the season that we wanted or worked for or expected, but I mean, that's Clemson. They show up, always have. I mean, this ain't the first disappointing season around here. It's the first one in a long time for us. It's been, like I said many times, since 2010 since we've had a year like this. But I mean, they showed up then, and 15 years later they're still showing up. But that's just who Clemson is. I mean, they love their Tigers, always have. There's been some lean years around here, especially back in the 90s, but I wasn't here then, but I'm sure they were showing up because that's Clemson. That's just who they are. They support the Tigers, and it means a lot to the players, to be able to have a venue like we have to play in. And so that was a great night in the Valley. Got one more.
All right, welcome to Believe in Clemson Football. I'm Will Vandervort. That's Alex Dodd. Thanks for joining us again tonight. And that was Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney talking about what the Valley looked like the other night. And Alex, I was there. It was one of the best atmospheres for a Clemson football game I have experienced in a long time. And it's not just because, they're having a down season this year. No, I mean, it was like Louisville versus Clemson atmosphere, if you remember that.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. I mean, it was electric. You would have no idea if you just were a random dude that says, you know what, I want to go to a college football game tonight, and that's the game you picked. You would have thought you were going to a game where these were the two best teams in the country, not one team who was 4-4 and the other was 3-5. I mean, it was unbelievable how packed that stadium was, how electric it was, how much they were into the game from the get-go. And kudos to the fans that showed up. I mean, Alex, it was sold out. I mean, the place was packed before they even started the national anthem and all that stuff. It was already packed. I mean, kudos to the Clemson fans. If you're listening and you're the guys and gals that went to the game, please let us know and tell us what you thought too. I thought it was just an unbelievable atmosphere. I wrote about it in a column on the ClemsonInsider.com. I was just thoroughly impressed with the Clemson fans. And by the way, Florida State didn't bring hardly any people. It ain't like Florida State brought 10,000 people to help fill it up. No, that was 99% Clemson fans. Florida State probably bought maybe 1,000.
Yeah, they didn't even bring the band.
They didn't even bring the Chiefs. Yeah, they didn't even bring the band. Kudos to Clemson. Alex, your thoughts on what you saw from television, what it looked like?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a great Clemson atmosphere. I mean, the crowd was loud. They were getting to the Florida State offense early in the game. I mean, honestly, I think you can attribute some of those kind of critical drops that Florida State had to the pressure the fans put on Florida State. So I think the fans made a massive difference in the game. And it was cool to see kind of that environment back in the Valley. I know fans on Monday morning were kind of breathing a sigh of relief because it has been a difficult season for Clemson fans, but they could walk around with their head held high on Monday because it was still Clemson, Florida State. I mean, it was two teams that are battling for a bowl game instead of two teams that are battling for an ACC title, but it's still a rivalry game and a good win for Clemson. In a game that, but hey, me and you both picked against them to our own peril this week. So
that's right, and we'll get more into that here in just a minute. As we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We're going to review the win over the Seminoles as well. We'll talk about the Louisville game. Got a lot of interesting conversations on this. We'll take your comments, please. I know we got a couple already filed up in there. We'll go through those through the course of the show as well. And then we'll do our Pick Six segment, Alex. Wasn't a great week for me or you, but we'll get into that.
Didn't hurt you. Didn't hurt you.
It didn't hurt me, but still, I don't like it, but it didn't hurt me. But still, nonetheless, we'll get into that here in a little bit. But before we do all that, let's talk about our sponsors, Alex. And I want to start off by saying, first of all, the Clemson Insider for the complete coverage of Clemson athletics and recruiting. Go on over to the ClemsonInsider.com. Do we need to start saying now college athletics, recruiting, and transfer portal? Because I mean, it's just like, that's kind of different than recruiting, right? I mean, I don't know.
Well, it's portal recruiting. It's still recruiting.
Yes. But regardless, we're going to have that here in a few weeks when all that begins as well. Also, whatever else happens inside the program once the season ends after the South Carolina game. Hopefully it's the Tigers getting ready for a bowl game. I know that doesn't excite a lot of people, but it's better than not going to a bowl game. I guess that's the way to look at it. So you can go on over to the ClemsonInsider.com and check out all those things. Go to the message boards. Tell us if you think me and Alex suck in this podcast. We'd love to hear that. Yeah. We'd love to hear good stuff, but if you want to tell us
people tell me I suck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it means you're listening.
Absolutely. So go on over and check us out. Check out the website, theclemsoninsider.com. You can go on Twitter at Clemson Insider. Some of you are watching us right now on that. You can go to my at Steeler Will, Alex, also Alex Dodd Show. You can go to the check out the Clemson Insider YouTube page, which is where we're on right now. Some of you are watching us, and on Facebook as well at Clemson Insider. So go on over to the ClemsonInsider.com for the most complete coverage of Clemson athletics and recruiting. Also, the all-new Spoke on the Water, which will be located at 64 Beacon Drive on Restaurant Row off of Pelham Road in Greenville, South Carolina, is opening up soon, Alex. It is. I know I've been teasing it, and I know everybody there is ready for it to get open, but it is. They're just going through a couple of, things that you have to do, the red tape that comes with it. So they're almost done with that. As soon as they're done with that, they're going to be opening their doors. They say it's probably going to be sometime in December, probably going to be maybe after Black Friday, and then that week that follows or so. So sometime early December, we're looking like it's going to open. So the all-new Smoke on the Water will still feature the famous smoked meats it had before, your pulled pork, your brisket, your beer butt chicken, my favorite, of course, and the prime rib. They'll also have a few new things that will appear on the menu as well. Their signature 5 barbecue sauces will be there to complement, not smother, any of its smoked meats. Like before, the all-new Smoke on the Water will have Greenville's best happy hour, and it will still feature live acoustic acts. Smoke on the Water is still owned by Mike Schuler, and he's happy to get the new location up and running. You can go right now to the all-new Smoke on the Water is available for catering, and it has its food truck. So for more information, go to 864-232-9091. The all-new Smoke on the Water, 64 Beacon Drive on Restaurant Row off of Pelham Road. Again, that's 864-232-9091. Appreciate Mike and Sturge and all those guys over there for sponsoring us each and every week here on Believe in Clemson, which is presented by FanDuel. And we appreciate everybody who's joining us tonight. Listen, Alex, I talked about the environment, and I can't express enough. I mean, some people compared it to the 2009 Florida State game. Some people comparing it to Louisville. I'd like to know what some of the fans thought about it. What if you were there? What did you think about the environment? Because as though it was great on TV, and I'm sure it was, to actually be there and see how they did the lights before the game. And
that was pretty cool. I think the seance worked too.
Dude, it was crazy, man. So it was. I mean, it's one of the top 5 environments I've seen in Death Valley. Now, how many games have I seen in Death Valley?
Yeah, how many games have you seen in Death Valley?
It's 60? A lot. I mean, it is. I mean, I've seen well over, probably close to 500 or so, and so definitely over 200. I know that.
I don't think it's over 500.
Well, I mean, I've covered every Clemson game, but a few since 2004.
Well, for you to have seen 500 games in Death Valley, if they played 7 a year every year, that would put you at 71 and a half years old. So I don't think you've seen 500.
Okay. So, but at least a lot. Okay. I don't know how much you do that. Do 7 times. What's 7 times 22? What's that?
We're doing math on the show today.
We're doing math on the show, folks.
That'd be 154.
154. That's just since 2004. That's not counting me growing up and coming here to games and stuff like that in college and all that. So there you go. That's a lot of that's a lot of home games I've seen in Death Valley for Clemson. Yeah, just I thought it was great. It was fun to see. What do we got? Math major? No, I was a journalism major, and I'm sure it tells.
Don't ask sports writers to do math. It's just a general rule of thumb that you guys should all apply to your daily lives. Don't ask us to do math.
It's not our strong point at all, our strong suit at all. But no, Alex, it's just and then the thing that was great about it was how Clemson responded to the crowd. I say this every year. There's always one game that the Clemson crowd wins. If you go back and look at it, you can always find that one game. Mentioned the Louisville game in 2016. There's no doubt in my mind that crowd won that game that night, right? The Florida State game in 2009, that crowd won that game that night.
Well, even like Wake Forest in 21. And
yes, or Notre Dame in 23.
Yeah. The North Carolina game, was that 22 or 23?
Yeah, 22, I believe.
22. There's one every year that the crowd is the difference in the game, and this was definitely it. I mean, you could tell that from watching it on TV.
Absolutely, it was amazing.
I don't think Castellanos knew what he was walking into. I don't think a lot of those Florida State players knew what they were walking into.
I don't think they did. I think they thought they're Clemson's 3-5. This is probably going to look like a stadium of a 3-5 football team, and they got in there and they're like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah,
they're on top of us. It's 80,000 plus in here, and they're ready to go.
I think they thought it was going to be like what happens at Florida State when they have a down year. That there were going to be 45,000 people in there, and they weren't going to care, and they were going to be apathetic. But that's the difference between Florida State and Clemson. Clemson fans show up. I mean, that's what Dabo said in that intro. Clemson fans show up, and they made their presence known on Saturday.
They did, and I asked Avion Terrell. I do that all the time. I'm sorry, Avion. I asked Avion Terrell after the game, about the crowd, because you want to talk to the defensive guys because they're the ones that feel it the most. I mean, the home guys do, the offensive guys do too, but not like the defensive guys. And he says, man, he says, I just sat back and listened. He said, I just let them do their thing. He's like, it was just fun to be a part of and just to listen to them. And, I talked to Wade Woodaz, and he talked about what a difference it was and how they really, impacted the game. The crowd did. And it did. It really is. It really is something when the crowd is like that and they can get this, the team can feel that energy.
Well,
it really carries onto them.
What I thought was interesting about it is seeing the environment when Florida State came out. Why in the world would you give Clemson the football? It's like they wanted the football. This was a game where you could tell early Clemson was going to take the ball if they won the toss.
And Dabo said that they were going to take the ball if they won the toss.
And they marched down 75 yards in 13 plays, take up 6.5 minutes, and go for 2 with Clay Sweeney. And you could just tell Clemson was trying to feed off the environment. And, man, like you mentioned, it means more when the players take advantage of it. And they took advantage of it early in the game.
I'm sorry. I'm reading this. I'm sorry, Alex. Dead air. I'm reading Tiger Ball GT. We were in the west stands just above the recruit section. It didn't feel the same as Louisville did, being next to the Masters Club, and the recruits were more who are more passive, I guess.
So he wrong spot is what.
Yeah, you were in the wrong spot. Trust me,
Will's right above the student section.
I'm right above the student section, and then the crowd next to me is a crowd that's probably the age of 25 to 40. I think that's fair to say, Alex. That's right underneath me, and they were in it the whole game. And then just around the stadium. I mean, the place was loud. And I thought it was as good as the Louisville environment. I did. And then I'm not saying it was better. I'm saying
there was a little bit of a difference. In the Louisville game, there were about 2,500 to 3,000 students that got in without a ticket to that game, which made
How would you know that?
I was not there. I spoke to somebody who was a beneficiary of the
I thought
mob
maybe
of
you were one
students
of
who
those
rushed
students.
the gates.
I thought maybe you were one of those students.
They just ran through the gates to get in the
Yeah,
stadium.
but it was great environment. I mean, when you're a team that's 3-5, you mentioned it earlier, Alex. Florida State did not expect to see 81,500 there. They did not. So the Clemson people stunned them. You could just tell Florida State did not expect that to have to deal with
what
that
it
kind of
felt
noise.
like? It felt like Mike Norvell walked in the locker room. His team comes out warm-ups. They see people in there. They see students, whatever. They walk in the locker room, and it seems like Mike Norvell gets up there and says, they don't care. There's not going to be anybody out there. Those are all the people who are going to be there, and you're going to crush their spirit tonight. And then they walked out and saw 81,500. We're like, oh, crap. Maybe Coach doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's sort of Logan Vaughn right here on YouTube says, I honestly think FSU overlooked us. I think you're correct. As crazy as that is to say, I think you're correct. Like, why would Florida State overlook anybody, right? I mean, they're an average football team. But I think they did overlook Clemson. And I think they overlooked the crowd at Death Valley because, Alex, I remember last year Florida State was having a horrible season when Clemson went down there. And, yes, they had 50,000 people there. They said they sold 55,000. But, Alex, I'm telling you. And, of course, they were modeling their stadium.
Yep.
So part of it was that. But so there was like 20,000 fans. They weren't able to get into the stadium because of the remodeling. However, there were parts of that stadium at that game that they were not filled.
Mm-hmm.
They were not. And Clemson went in there, and it was like a kind of a dull atmosphere. I remember being there. I think you were there in 2018 when Florida State was bad.
Oh, the eastbound and down game.
Yes. the fans were there.
Yeah.
I mean,
the ones that were there were reading books, shirtless.
And the ones that were there were reading books. That's what I think the Florida State thought was going to happen when they came into Death Valley. They thought this is a Clemson team that's struggling. They've lost, 6 straight home games to power conference opponents at the time. They had their worst home season since 1975. And all these things were going against Clemson. And I think Florida State thought, well, it'll be Clemson. They'll still have 70,000 or so there, but it won't be like packed out. We won't have to worry about that. And they were wrong, And I'll be honest with you, so was I, because I wasn't expecting it either, And I think a lot of people weren't, and I think the people that came weren't. Well, and I knew on Friday night, Alex, it was going to be packed because there was a buttload of people in Clemson on Friday night. And I'm like, holy crap, this game might be packed out on Saturday. Sure enough, it was.
Yeah, well, I personally thought that, one factor that comes into play in a season like this is ticket prices are cheaper. So a lot of the people in the stadium don't get to go to a lot of games, in my opinion, and they're the casual diehard fan that maybe can't afford to go to every home game because there's some rich guy from wherever. But these are the fans that care the most that were able to get in the stadium, especially like in the upper deck and things like that. And I think that makes a difference in a game like this. When ticket prices are a little bit lower, you get those diehard fans in that want to make a difference. And Tiger Paw GT makes a point tier too. I think helped fire up the crowd was those Florida State players who were taunting the student section during warm-ups. And that might have been a little bit of a distraction for Florida State. I think it was a little bit of motivation for that Clemson crowd and that student section too early in the day.
I think you're right, and good observation there by Tiger Paw GT. I think he's 100% correct because, Alex, they were that student section was as much, and you know me, I give the students a ton of garbage. I'm always talking about how they suck, and but they came out, and I'm going to give student section credit the other day. They came out and they stayed the whole game. They won't worry about what was going on in their little sorority or fraternity party that they were having afterwards or whatever. They stayed the whole game. They didn't leave like they do sometimes. So I give them credit. Now, I know the Duke game is going to come up, and they're probably going to do exactly what I just said. I mean, not the Duke game, the Furman game in a couple weeks. But I'll be okay with that because they'll be wearing purple and they'll leave, and you know how I don't like the purple.
Yeah, can we also point out it's kind of weird they're doing a purple game against Furman?
Yeah, but I mean, that's the military appreciation game.
I know, but Furman's going to walk in there and be like, "Dang, I've never seen this much purple in my life."
I mean, they could have done They could have done military appreciation against Florida State. I mean, they could have. I mean, it would have made sense. I mean,
normal uniforms
because it is the week before, right? It would have been the week before Veterans Day, so it would have made sense. But it'd been looking weird. Clemson playing Florida State in purple.
Yeah,
I'm with you. It's like Clemson, Florida State doesn't need much. I mean, it's not Clemson, South Carolina or Clemson, Georgia, but it's a pretty good rivalry. It's a pretty good rivalry. There's not much hate, but it's fun.
Yeah, Ben Abercrombie gets in. Fun game to watch. Great to see a win. On to Louisville. Coach V brought some extra mojo for the team for sure. Hats off to the fans.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Coach V went on the field the whole time, guys. I know that for a fact. He was also at halftime. He went into the Sweeney's box and sat with the Sweeneys and Dabo's mom and them in the press box in the second half. So I know that for a fact. I know he was on the field for a little bit in the first half and was there to see his son play. And that's why he was there, first of all. Let's get it straight. I know there's a lot of, oh, my gosh, what does this mean? Is Brent Venables coming back if Oklahoma
Some Oklahoma fans were panicking a little bit.
Yeah. I'm like, no.
Why is he wearing a Clemson hat?
Like I said in my tweet, the picture Bart Boatwright sent me. Second reference today I give to Bart, by the way, Bart Boatwright. Shout out to you, Bart. Best photographer in the business, no doubt. Anyway, Boatsy was he sent us a picture, and I ran it and put it on Twitter and everything. And so the Oklahoma fans were going crazy thinking, oh, my gosh, what does this mean? And the Clemson fans were like, oh, my gosh, what does this mean? And I said in there, he was seeing his son play. He was there to see his son play. It wasn't any other reason.
He was coming to see his son.
Oh, man. But it was fun. It was a fun game, fun atmosphere. Obviously, it was good to see the defense play that well with Coach Venables in the house. I will say that. I think that I don't know if that gave them extra mojo, but it didn't hurt. Right. Yeah, I mean, it didn't hurt seeing Brent Venables there. But you got to remember, like Wade Woodaz says, Coach Venables, he never played for him.
Right.
And, Avion Terrell was talking about he never played for him. And so all the guys in there were like, I don't know how many of those guys played for him, but not many left. Maybe K-Part.
Yeah.
That's it. Peter Woods, TJ Parker. No, those guys didn't. I think K-Part might be the only one, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only a few guys. But yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it was cool for the fans. It did feel like it brought some positive energy in the building. That's certainly what it felt like. I mean, at this point, with where you were against Power 4 opponents, you were looking for any mojo you could get, any sign of goodwill, any positivity. You're like reading billboards going down 123, hoping you see something that says you're going to win today. So I think it may have maybe helped some fans.
I like this. Speaking of rivalries. I hate the Noles. It helps my kid as a Gator. So
yeah, and Skowski was there too, so that was cool to see. Tiger Paw GT points that out as well.
Yeah, Skowski was there. That's correct, and he was coming home. Obviously, he gets a chance to see his alma mater and just be a part of all that again. I think him and Ben Boulware probably reconnected. They're both the same. They're like twin brothers. I mean, right?
Well, how great was it on, going back to the kind of talk football here a little bit with the game and not just the crowd. How important do you think it was that the officials on the field called Clay Sweeney's run in a touchdown? Because that was one that on replay, that's inconclusive, my friend.
But they called it.
How important was that for Clemson to get that call?
Well, the good news is the good news, Alex, is they called it good before the replay. Because if they would have called it short, then replay would have upheld that.
Yeah.
So, because as you said, it was inconclusive. You couldn't tell either way that he got in. And so it's dependent on how they called it on the field. So, yes, I think that was a big deal. And that it's after the Duke game that the officials didn't start off with the screw up.
That would have changed the tenor of the building, man. Everybody, all that excitement and energy and happiness would have been gone in an instant. Would have turned sour.
It would have. It would have really changed it. And so, luckily, that didn't happen. Got to put this in. I hate the Noles and South Carolina. Anytime
I'm
we can.
feeling that most people watching this feel the same way as you, Logan. I got a good feeling.
I think they do as well. So let's kind of go into a little bit of this. Alex, we'll spend a few minutes on the Florida State game, and then we'll move over and transition to Louisville. All right, and we'll keep guys throwing your comments in. We'll try to get those in as much as we can as we go through. All right, what I liked about Florida State, you mentioned they opened the game. I love Dabo says that he told Clay Sweeney and the special teams guys, hey, when we score on Saturday, this is on Tuesday of last week. When we score on Saturday, we're going to go for 2. We're going to run this trick play. And Clay mentioned it, and if y'all saw his interview, you can go to ClemsonInsider.com and see his interview on YouTube. He said that they were doing a basically the 3 technique, and he's like, if they do that, they knew it's open because they've been doing it all year and it was there, so they knew like if they saw him in 3 technique. He said that last year they were going to do it last year after they scored, but they noticed that they were in the 5 technique, and he's like, okay, we're not going to do that now because now they're in a different technique. And he's like, so he called it off. He audibled. He said, if you go back and watch it, you can see me saying, no fake, no fake. So we're kicking it. We're kicking it. That's what he said. We're kicking it. We're kicking it. So this year he saw it, and you thought Florida State would have heard that and remembered that Clemson almost.
Well, this is what
off.
happens when your team leaves to the transfer portal and you get a new team every year. You lose that knowledge.
Right. And so it really hurt them. And Clemson went ahead and ran the fake this time, and they get it. And they up 8-0. Great call, I thought. I thought it was a great opening drive. It set the tenor for the game. Clemson defense comes out, gets a 3 and out. The next possession, the Clemson defense forces a turnover, gets a 3 and out after that. I mean, it's 18-0 before Florida State knew what happened. And I know some people were disappointed because Clemson didn't really do much in the offense in the second half. But, guys, they were up 24-7 going into the fourth quarter. They didn't need to. Right. Job at that point in time was to protect the lead and run the clock and get out of there.
Well, it's protect the lead, run the clock, give Gideon Davison carry so that he's on your team next year.
Correct.
I think those were the 3 priorities for the offense in the second half, and particularly the fourth quarter. And the other thing is, and I heard this on the radio this week, and I thought it was a great point, is these same people that are mad about that, how mad would they have been if Cade throws a pick 6 or if, he throws a critical interception in minus territory that leads to a touchdown and makes the game close? They'd be way more mad about that than they are about them running the clock out. I mean, at this point, take your win. You lost 6 in a row to power conference opponents. You were staring down a losing streak to power opponents that hadn't been replicated since 1907.
1917.
1907 to 17, wasn't it?
1907 to 17. That's correct.
Since 1907 to 17. I mean, at this point, just take your win.
Take your win and go home and be happy. Now, was it a perfect win? No, by no stretch. As Dabo said in the post-game press conference, we finally got some breaks because Florida State dropped several balls, including a wheel route that is a touchdown there in the second quarter. That would have tied the game right there at 7. That was a huge, huge drop. And then Clemson, that was 4th and 1, remember?
Yep.
Then Clemson gets the ball, and what happens 2 plays later?
They go score.
They score, and it's 15-0, right? So it went from being 8-7 or 8-8 to 15-0 in 2 plays because I think it was on second down they ran the flea flicker. So that was a big turnaround there, and it was because Florida State dropped the ball, and so Clemson got a break. They did, and then there's a couple more drops that would have been first downs and kept Florida State drives alive. They didn't do it, and then there's a couple overthrows. Now the drops are one thing, the overthrows are another, and here's why: Clemson knew he wasn't an accurate passer if pressured, and Clemson got after him the whole game. Now, they got 6 sacks in the second half, but they were all over his butt in the first half, too. They were bringing pressure left and right, and pressure causes bad balls to be thrown.
Yep.
And also it causes some drops in the sense of passes are not where they need to be, so the receiver has to reach back, do things he's not ready for. Now, that didn't happen with the wheel route drop. That was just a drop. But my whole point being on this is, yes, Florida State gave Clemson some breaks, but also Clemson created some breaks. And they did that with the pressure on defense. I thought it was a great defensive scheme, and they really got after Florida State. Held Florida State to 110 yards rushing, by the way, which is 130 yards below their average.
Wow.
That is what was impressive about that win the other night.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the defense played really well. I mean, it's kind of frustrating to see, particularly the early pressure not take Castellanos off his spot, but they stuck with it. You know, they kept sending pressure and stuck to the mission, and I think that's what ultimately paid off at the end of the game for the defense. Is they stuck to the strategy. They didn't abandon it because the pressure wasn't getting home early.
Exactly.
And that's been a problem a couple of times this year where they've tried to send like the Duke game. They tried to send pressure, couldn't get to him, and kind of backed off, and then he picked you apart. And in this game, you stuck with it. You had a couple coverage busts. I hope they've been studying the wheel route for the last 5 days, because I can promise you Louisville is going to come out and try to hit that wheel route.
Yes,
knowing how good of a coach Jeff Brom is and what he does on the offensive side, there's no doubt in my mind they're going to throw the wheel route like 5 times. So I hope they've been studying up on that this week.
Now, Florida State, people say, well, Florida State finished with 360 yards, and that's correct.
Yep.
But they had 207 going into the fourth quarter, and most of those yards in the fourth quarter were junk yards.
Yeah.
You're playing zone. You're just trying to keep everything in front of you. You're letting them have those yards, and you're trying to run clock down and make them use as much clock as possible, even if they do score. So that kind of handles that. The offensive side of the ball came out. You build an 18-0 lead. You did struggle finishing off drives. Dabo talked about that when you let the 3 field goals where Nolan Hoosier, had a 40-yarder, a 23-yarder, then a 43-yarder, I believe, in the game. The good news is Nolan Hoosier looked like Nolan Hoosier.
Yeah, he looked great.
He looked
he was composed, knocked him in.
Looked like the guy who won the ACC championship for you last year. That was the good news. Yes, the offense I wish would have finished things. I think the offensive game could have been better, especially later in the game. Now I know Tiger Paul GT gets in again, and he says, and he's got a valid point. He says at 7:37 left, I so wanted them to impose their will running the ball, but it was 3 and outs and not a running back and not running out the clock. True. But that's also because Florida State knew what Clemson was going to do.
Yep.
Guys, when the defensive place knows you're not going to throw the ball, it's hard to run the football. They just they load the box up and pretty much dare you to do something you don't want to do. And you're not going to throw the ball because you want them to use their timeouts, which they did. And you don't want to throw a pass that could be incomplete and stops the clock. Or, as Alex said, it gets tipped, he intercepted, he gets strip sack, fumble, all those things that could happen. And then you guys are like, what the heck? Why did you do that? You're yelling at Dabo at that point. So it did get vanilla late, but I think there's a reason for that. So I think you take the win and you run. Yeah. You enjoy it because you won by 2 touchdowns when nobody, including me and Alex, thought you were going to win the game at all, including you. Everybody on this show did not think Clemson was going to win the game. If you tell me you did, you're lying to yourself because nobody thought they were going to win the game.
You may have hoped they would win the game.
Right.
Or felt like they had a chance to win the game. I mean, Will and I said that they could win the game, but we didn't think they would.
So anyway, with that said, speaking of think they can win the game, let's talk about the next game, and that's the Louisville game. And I know a lot of you guys have kind of already gotten in with some comments and questions about the Louisville game coming up. This is an interesting one, Alex, because first of all, I want to throw this out to you. This is a crazy story that came out today. A Texas man has been indicted and arrested for allegedly making violent threats against the University of Louisville head coach Jeff Brom, his family, the coaching staff, and quarterback Miller Moss following the team's overtime loss to the University of California. The individual has been identified as Brian Mandel of Corpus Christi, Texas. He faces 6 counts of terroristic threatening and 1 count of attempted extortion. So basically the extortion, if you're wondering, Alex, because that's the one that kind of stood out to me. The extortion charge stems from allegations that Mandel attempted to obtain property valued at $10,000 or more from quarterback Miller Moss by threatening bodily injury to him and
What the
people
heck?
associated with them. I mean, come on, dude.
They got the mob over here at Louisville football. I mean, what are we doing?
What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? How crazy is that? Now, the good news is the authorities took care of business. The guy's in jail. He's already been indicted. He's going to be in. They're going to throw with a key with him. It looks like good. That's good. That's one less thing that the Louisville team has to worry about at the moment. But man, that's a horrible thing for Coach Braum and his family to have to worry about. That there's some psycho out there threatening to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough stress involved in college football already, the way that it is. But if we really come to the point in our society where this is what we do, like we're threatening people over football games, college football games. I mean, this has gone too far. I'm glad that there's this guy got caught before anything crazy happened, because these are the type of crazy people that do awful things.
Yes.
So I'm glad that the situation is being handled and being resolved. But what a distraction to have to deal with in the middle of a season when Louisville, you're competing for an ACC championship.
I mean, they're still in it.
Deal with this.
They got a very low percentage to get in right now, but they're still in the mix. Technically, they're not eliminated. They lose to Clemson, they are.
Yep.
And that brings us to this game. This is a big game because you got Louisville is battling for trying to stay in that ACC championship race the best way they can, and you got a Clemson team who can play spoiler and put Louisville down and just say, no, you're going to have to go to a bowl game. And by the way, we might take your bowl game away if we can come in here and win this game, and we'll go to a better bowl game. And that's what Clemson's playing for right now. Clemson's playing for a chance to go to a bowl game and then a chance to position itself, because it would have a win over Louisville, to put itself in position to go to a better bowl game. So there is something to play for this week in this game on Friday night. And my question is, Alex, what Clemson team is going to show up? Are we going to see the Clemson team that played against Florida State and probably looked the best they have all season from a complimentary standpoint? Or are we going to see the Clemson team that has played against Duke and SMU and Syracuse? Which Clemson team are we going to see?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. You hope you see the team from this week that beat a like team. This is the first time we've seen Clemson beat a like team this year. You punched down well against Boston College and North Carolina, but you were able to punch a peer this past week. Now you're going to have to beat somebody that's better than you.
Yeah.
You're going to have to beat somebody who's well coached, that beat the dog crap out of you in your building last year, that ran it all over you, and a team that's having a great season. I mean, they've had some close games that hadn't gone their way, including last week. But this is a ranked football team. This is a team with postseason aspirations, and you get the opportunity to play spoiler to them like they did to you last year, or what they thought they did to you last year. You ended up making the playoff, but at the time, it felt like Clemson's chances were done after that Louisville game.
Well, I think Dabo Swinney said it best. They embarrassed us last year.
Yeah.
And they did. I mean, they came into Death Valley and they ran the ball down Clemson's throat. I mean, it was I'm going to eat all day long running this football, and you can't stop it.
Yep.
And Clemson's defense just looked on their heels the whole game. They looked defeated. It was one of the worst performances I've seen by Clemson defense, period, in that game. And that's including games this year. I mean, Isaac Brown ran for 150 yards, scored a touchdown. They finished with over 200 yards. And even though it was just 210 yards, it felt like it was 510 yards.
Yep.
I mean, it really did. And because of the way they were running. And that's going to be the key in this game, Alex, because, Miller Moss doesn't scare you. You're not sitting there thinking, that Miller Moss guy, he's really worried me. I mean, ask California. California says we're going to stop the run, and it did. And we're going to make Miller Moss beat us. And he didn't.
He hasn't. I mean, let's call it what it is. Miller Moss hadn't been able to beat anybody on his own his whole career. He didn't do it at USC. He hadn't done it here. This is actually a good point from Clemson alumni 4. Clemson is a trap game for Louisville. You're 100% right. Clemson is a trap game for Louisville. You're coming off a deflating loss. You need other things to go your way to get to where you want to be.
You got a big game next week.
You got a big game next week, and you're playing a Clemson team that they played better football last week. This Louisville running back Alan Watts, a lot of other people getting in. Isaac Brown, this guy's the real deal. He's second in the ACC in rushing, 91 carries for 782 yards. He's averaging 97 yards, 97.8 yards a game. This guy's not somebody you mess with.
But you're not going to see him.
Right.
He's out. He's out for this game. But you're going to see Keywan Brown. Not related, I don't think. He's averaging 6.92 yards per carry and 457 yards a game, and 6 touchdowns. So he's pretty darn salty too. Yeah. So it doesn't matter who they have in there. Their key is they want to run the football. Dabo was asked yesterday, hey, they said they might possibly play 2 quarterbacks. What does that affect you? And Dabo says no, because they're going to do what they do, and schematically they want to run the football.
Well,
so we got to stop
Brown,
the run.
Yeah, I apologize for writing the wrong Brown on my notes earlier. Yeah. But Keywan Brown, and I've watched Louisville a few times this season. He was great as a change of pace back with Isaac Brown. Mm-hmm. Still kind of to be determined if he could be the man on his own.
Yes.
But that's what matters for Clemson is stopping the run in this game. Yeah. 136 yards against Cal. Whoop, Alan gets in and says that's who I was talking about was the backup.
Yeah, I got the wrong one, but you got what I said. Yeah, I grabbed the wrong one.
But
this is what I meant to say. Yeah. Yes. They had 136 yards rushing against Cal last week. Louisville wants to run for more than that. They average 150 yards a game. What they do, Alex, is they average, as a team, they average 5.05 yards per carry. So basically 5.1 yards per carry is what they're averaging, which is 3rd in the Atlantic Coast Conference. They want to run the ball, and then what that does is that sets up their play action. And against Clemson, that is the key, because what does Clemson struggle with?
Play action.
Play action.
And hey, throw in this wheel route thing. It's like, yeah, we'll run play action, throw it to our running back, run it down the sideline 15 yards.
Exactly. So they got to be careful with getting sucked in, and Dabo talked about that. It's a story I wrote tonight on the Clemson Insider. Dabo talked about that. They got to be careful, the linebackers and safeties do, not to peek inside. Don't do things you're not supposed to. Stay within your job. Do your job. And if you do that, things will be fine. But, hey, if they call Tampa 2, guys, if they're calling Tampa 2 coverage, okay, Sammy Brown and Wade Wood, as I'm talking to you, cover the tight end. He's going right down the middle of the field. You got him if you just play your system. If you just play what you're supposed to, don't just suck it to the play action and the tight end runs right past you. What were you doing against Duke? I mean, I still can't believe that play. It's just tight end runs wide open on a key moment for 40-something yards or 50 yards, and it's like, what are we doing? Right? You're just like that's basic football stuff. If you're calling a cat blitz, Ricardo Jones. Take the wide receiver because somebody's got to take them because there's nobody else there. So just do your job. And then Logan got in here and he says if Clemson can stop the run and the pass, we will win. Totally agree. That's the key is stopping the run though, because I think if they stop the run, you want Miller Moss to have to throw the ball 40 times. Last week, he had to throw the ball 40 times, Alex. 20 of 39, 201 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception.
Yep.
That's the key right there.
Yeah,
that's
100%. And, they just released the injury reports.
Okay, give us the update.
So Isaac Brown.
Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news in the news center today. Louisville star running back Isaac Brown is not listed on the injury report, so he's good to go. So I'm not crazy for talking about Isaac Brown.
He's not listed?
He's not listed as questionable, probable, or out.
Okay, so that's interesting when the coach Monday said that he thought it was unlikely he was going to play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his quote, I have to find his quote. I'll find his quote. Hold on a second. Give me a second. Keep talking, Alex. Let me get this.
So for Louisville, questionable are defensive lineman A.J. Green and defensive back Tayon Holloway. Probable is linebacker Stanquan Clark. For the Tigers, listed as questionable is Stephylan Green, and listed as probable are Ricardo Jones and DeMonte Capehart.
I'll say it's a questionable Green.
Yep. Probable Ricardo Jones and DeMonte Capehart.
Which means they're probably going to play.
Yep.
Hold on a second. All right. However, Jeff Brom said he's not optimistic that Isaac Brown will play against the Tigers. So what changed in 2 days, Coach
Well,
Brom?
you know what changed is Coach Brom said, "Heck, Clemson's only got 4 days to prep for this game, so we might as well throw a wrench in the plan." That's what changed.
I think
this
what
guy's
changed.
This guy's a gamesman. I mean, let's call it what it is.
I think he's going to go ahead and take the fine the ACC is going to give him to make, because there ain't no way that running back's playing. Everybody report came out last week he's going to be out for weeks.
Yep.
And if he does play, okay, if he plays, then okay, he plays, and good for them.
They're going to put him in on the kickoff and hope.
But is he
Clemson
going to
kicks
be
it out of
hurt?
bounds,
Is he
or-
going to be hurt? I mean, how effective is he going to be? Is my point if he's playing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, but it does change the complexion of the game. If Isaac Brown is somehow miraculously ready to play, that makes a huge difference if you have both backs. Because like I was talking about earlier, early in the season, that 1-2 punch proved incredibly effective for the Cards.
Yeah, one reason they lost the game last week to Cal is because they didn't have Isaac Brown.
Yeah, they didn't have that change of pace back, and that puts an incredible amount of strain on the defense when you got guys with different running styles.
And Isaac Brown, he's like lightning. I mean, he gets the ball, sees a hole on that backside, he cuts back, and Clemson just couldn't stop it last year, and he just was running free all night long, it looked like. And this is a big deal. This is a huge deal for this game. If Isaac Brown is playing and he's healthy and he looks like Isaac Brown, I might that 4.5 might go up a little bit, don't you think?
2.5, yeah.
That 2.5, I mean.
That 2.5 may go up to 4.5, even with Isaac Brown playing. But yeah, it definitely makes a difference. I mean, this is a Louisville team. We mentioned it. Offensively, they're not a juggernaut.
Right.
Coming into the game, they're 6th in the ACC in scoring, 10th in yards, 6th in rushing, 11th in passing. So they're not like a juggernaut on offense, but their defense is good enough to give the offense leeway. Their defense is 7th in scoring, but they're 2nd in yards allowed, 6th in rushing yards allowed, and number 1 in passing yards allowed. They're giving up 188.1 yards per game through the air, which giving up less than 200 yards passing in today's college football is insane. When your coverage is able to do that against anybody.
So after the fourth quarter of the Virginia Tech game, after the game against Virginia Tech when he was injured, and they're not saying what somebody asked in there. I think it was Tiger Ball GT. Is it a hamstring? Jeff Brom did not say, so we don't know what it is. I guess they would say probably just a leg. They just say they're calling it a leg injury. And after the game against Virginia Tech, when he heard it, Jeff Brom said he will be out for a while. One game is not a while, Alex.
Yeah. When you go out on November 1st and you're able to come back less than 2 weeks later.
That's not a while.
Friday night football game, that is not out for a while, like Jeff Brom said on November 3rd.
Exactly. So
a while is not 9 days from when you say he's going to be out for a while to when you put him as not on the injury report. Maybe it's a clerical error. By Louisville. That might be the excuse when the fine comes down.
You know, it's happened before. Clemson, I think either Clemson or somebody made an error once in one game, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then the next one came out the next day, and it was like they were like, "Oh, we're sorry, that was an accident." You know, so that might be something to that. There might be something to that. I don't know.
Yeah. So I pulled this up. Let's see, institutional fines. The only thing I can find is the feigning injuries. And then I found another article that said Notre Dame can lie about its availability reports. It won't, but it could. So that's the only thing I found. But it's an interesting strategy if that's what they're doing. It's even more interesting if, I don't know, maybe something changed. Maybe you found out it wasn't a torn hamstring. It was a deep contusion or something. I don't know. That's weird.
Maybe he's just
especially for a running back. And as much as they,
Alex, like you just said, all they got to do is put him out there. It could be a kickoff return team, and
have
him
take a fair catch.
They could put him out there. The first play of the game as a decoy. Remember when Herschel Walker played against Clemson way back in the day? Herschel Walker had a broken finger. He was basically a decoy. He didn't do anything the whole game. He was just a decoy out there. He couldn't play.
Yep.
But they put him out there just so Clemson had to prepare for him. So, Alan Watts says AI says AI says I thought I said Al. AI says Isaac Brown will be out for Friday's game. Well, AI doesn't know.
Yeah, well, the
report just
official
came out.
ACC injury report says he's not even questionable. So,
He's not
or
even
probable.
questionable.
not
He's
even
he's
probable.
playing according to the ACC.
He is
injury
playing
report.
football on Friday night. And
So-
what do you think about the Friday night element of this game, Will, for both teams? For Louisville coming off a heartbreaking game that you lost in overtime, and for Clemson coming off kind of a big game momentum-wise for the team where you feel like things are going well. How do you feel like ethereally that this comes into play, the short turnaround?
Well, first of all, why in the world, Louisville, would you go to all black on a game that's at night and Clemson's going to wear all white? That's not going to be intimidating to Clemson. It's going to help Cade Klubnik see his receivers, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Unless
Everybody for Louisville is going to be wearing white gloves, though. So there's going to be holding all night long. It's not going to get called.
Which means Louisville's wearing their black uniforms. Clemson's wearing their all white. And the background's going to be black. I mean, to me, that's not intimidating. Now, it doesn't mean it won't be loud or whatever. It's just not intimidating when the color matches the nighttime sky. It just doesn't seem like that's intimidating to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've seen blackouts before and it's not been intimidating. Whiteout's intimidating because it does it like, whether it's daytime or nighttime, that's pretty intimidating, right?
Yeah.
Even Clemson, when it's all orange, it's pretty intimidating because it's all orange. It's not a normal color you see, right? Louisville should have went red. It should have been a red out, and it should have been all red. That would have been because red is blood. Red means, there's a lot of things you can play with it. Like
red is blood.
Yeah,
we're going to murder you guys on Friday night.
Yeah. So first of all, that's that. Second of all, Friday night. Yeah, that's going to be interesting because Louisville, let's first of all say it, Louisville's a metropolitan area. Mm-hmm. It's a big city. It is. It's a big city. There's a lot of things to do in Louisville on a Friday night.
I mean, you got the Great Lakes Circuit Finals Rodeo going on in town. So there's going to be a lot of people up there for that.
Yes, you do. So there's a lot of things going on. I'm just not like, listen, Alex, I've been up there before. I think you've been up there too.
Yeah, I've been up there 3 times.
Yeah, it's not like an intimidating environment.
No.
It's not loud on the field. So, and this is what I mean by that. The stadium goes up, so the noise goes up and out. And so,
and the stands are too far back from the field. Everything
goes out. And so it's not going, it's like Tallahassee, the same way. It's not,
it's like a smaller Tallahassee is what it feels like.
The noise goes, the noise is, it's not, it doesn't land on top of you, like Florida State, the noise goes out. It goes up to the press box. Mm-hmm. Like it's loud up there where we're at in the press box, but you know what? It don't affect us. Yeah, because we're not in part of the game. So the noise is just up and out. It's not down on the field. So it really doesn't affect really the game in the sense of what the Clemson team's going to be doing offensively and stuff like that. It's more going to be about what the players do. And it's going to be about, okay, Louisville's offense, we talked about a little bit. I think Louisville's defense, though, Alex, pretty good defense.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. They like to bring a lot of pressure. We know that. Watched them a year ago. Now, there's going to be opportunities down the field. They give up about 7 yards per play per attempt throwing the ball. So there's going to be chances or opportunities with guys downfield for Cade that are going to be open.
Yeah.
Cade's got to find them.
Yeah, and the other thing though that goes to that is with Louisville's pass defense being as efficient as it is, giving up 188.1 yards per game.
Yes, is the answer to that question. Yes.
The question was, will Louisville's uniforms look better than the Steelers Bumblebees? Yeah, I think most things will. But this is a Louisville defense that doesn't give up a lot of yards through the air.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is going to be a game where Clemson's going to have to get yards in chunks. You're going to have to get like a 7 yard out. You're going to have to hit the tight end on the seam. It's going to be that kind of passing game.
You're not going to be able to run the ball in this game.
And if they're bringing a lot of pressure, I mean, this team does give up. They give up 108 yards a game
rushing.
On the ground.
Yeah,
rushing.
You're not
going
to be able to run the ball.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
Yeah, it's the same as Clemson, basically.
Yeah, this is the number 2 defense in the ACC overall.
Yeah,
So you're going to have to screen them to death, I think. You're going to have to use that perimeter game as an extension of the run. You're going to see that pop pass a lot to Antonio Williams. Be nice if you see Tyler Brown a couple more times.
This is where the complementary football comes into play, Alex. Yep. This is where, because if the offense can extend drives, then the defense is going to be rested and get off the field. The reason Cal beat them last week was because Cal's defense held them to like 300-something yards, and Cal had over 400 yards of total offense. Yep. Cal's dictated the tempo, and they made Louisville's defense stay on the field. And Louisville's defense wore down in the second half. Virginia, the same thing happened. Virginia wore them down in the second half. That's what they're going to have to do. So,
yeah, and Clemson's going to have to find a way to win a close game if it wants to win. Unless there's some like catastrophic turnovers on the Louisville side, Clemson's going to have to win a close game, and we haven't really seen that from this team. I guess Troy.
All right, Alex, let's go to our pick six, and we'll talk about who we're going to think about is going to win that Clemson-Louisville game inside the pick six, obviously. I know you got the game, so let's roll, buddy.
All right, pick six. Will is 40-26 overall after a 1-5 week. Ooh. I am back to 5. I'm back down to 500 after my 1 week living above the line there at 33-33 after a 1-5 week. Tough week pick 'em for us.
Tough week without a doubt. It was a horrible week, and so hopefully we'll do better this week. By the way, this is our picks. They're presented by FanDuel for Believe in Clemson, our sponsor. So we appreciate that. So here we go. Our pick six presented by FanDuel.
All right, we'll do Clemson-Louisville last, even though it's on Friday night. We'll start out with where College Game Day is going to be this week. Number 9, Notre Dame, an 11.5-point favorite at Acrisure Stadium against the Pitt Panthers. Big spread for a huge game in Pittsburgh. I mean, it's going to be a great crowd.
It's going to be a Notre Dame crowd. It's going to be a Notre Dame crowd.
It's going to be a lot of Notre Dame people there.
Listen, my dad was from Pittsburgh, grew up in Pittsburgh. My dad did not grow up a Pitt fan. He grew up a Notre Dame fan, as a lot of people in Pittsburgh did. So Pitt is not the favorite team. The only people who pull for Pitt are basically the people who go to Pitt. Yeah, that's really kind of where it is. And so you could probably find more West Virginia Notre Dame fans in Pittsburgh than you can Pitt fans. So anyway, with that said, I still, though, think Pitt's better than 11.5 against Notre Dame. I like Pat Narduzzi's defense. I like the way they play. Notre Dame, this is it for Notre Dame. They don't win this game, Alex, they're done.
They're done. They're playing for their season.
They're playing for their season in a playoff spot. So go Pitt. Because we all want Notre Dame out. Yeah. And if Clemson's not doing well, obviously I like Pitt because of my ties to Pittsburgh. So I'm going to always pull everything Pittsburgh. So unlike my dad, I'm not a Notre Dame guy. I hate Notre Dame. So, but I do think in this game, taking personal feelings aside, I think that 11.5 is just too high. I'm going to go Pittsburgh to cover that 11.5.
I do too, and I think Narduzzi was maybe playing a little bit of games in the media this week when he's saying like, "Oh, this game's not important." It's basically what he said. He's like,
in the grand scheme, it's not.
And he is right, but I think he's maybe played a little bit of games there. I don't think he's telling his team, "Hey, it doesn't matter if we lose by 100 or what he say. We can lose 100-7, and it ain't
going to affect their playoff chances."
Yeah. So, but I'm still taking Pitt with the points. Wouldn't be surprised if Pitt wins this football game either, but I'm taking Pitt with the points.
I'm with you on that. What do we got next?
The next game is South Carolina at Kyle Field against the third-ranked Texas A&M Aggies, and the Fighting Texas Aggies are an 18.5-point favorite over the Gamecocks coming off a week off. I'll start this one off.
Yeah, go ahead.
18.5 is That's high. Massive spread, and I never take spreads like this. I really don't, like ever. I mean, South Carolina, when they went to they played Alabama well at home. But the difference in this game is they're not at home. They're going to Texas. And I don't know if Shane Beamer has very many people left to fire on his offense.
And they've never won there, by the way.
Never won there. They're playing against a great defense, a defensive-minded head coach. And like I mentioned, Florida State, South Carolina, I think Shane Beamer's son, who's like 10 years old, he might be calling plays in this game. I think that's like how many people they're down to on the offensive staff. I'm really trying not to take the 18.5 point spread, but I'm going to take it. I'm taking the Aggies with the 18.5 points at home.
Alex,
They're playing for style points at this
Yeah.
point. That's what A&M's doing, and Elko's not going to slouch against a South Carolina.
what is Elko known for?
Defense,
What is South Carolina struggling at?
offense.
South Carolina ranks 129th in the country in total offense, 293.1 yards a game. Alex, they're averaging just 5 yards per play. They only have 528 rushing yards, okay? 528 rushing yards. I mean, we're 9 games into the season, Alex.
Yeah.
9 games. I think I'm right on that. Make sure I'm right because you get all the way to 528 plays. I thought that was small rushing amount. Let me go back here. Sorry.
Sophocles 2B is telling us do not take the 18.
907 rushing yards, Alex. They haven't even got 1,000 rushing yards
On the season
in 9 games. Give me all day long Texas A&M to cover this one.
Whew. We're taking chances today. All right, the next one. See if we take another chance. Number 19, Virginia, coming off a heartbreaker at Duke. Duke is a 4.5 point favorite in this game. Duke coming off a loss to a team that resides in the state of Connecticut. So both teams coming in a little sore and sour. Duke still somehow has a chance to make it to the ACC championship.
If they win out, they do.
Virginia's kind of fighting for their life here in this game.
We're,
I'm taking Virginia with the 4.5 on the road.
Virginia quarterback situation. What do we know about it?
That's another question for the ACC injury report.
Oh, that ain't came out till tomorrow.
That's not going to come out till tomorrow.
Yeah. So what have reports said about him?
I will look that up really quick. Injury update for Chandler Morris. Optimism increases that Virginia quarterback Chandler Morris will return Saturday versus Duke.
Okay, and what's the spread on that?
The spread is 4.5 in favor of the Blue Devils.
And 4.5 is spread of the Blue Devils. Okay, Alex, what does that tell me? If it's 3 and under, you take the home team. 4.5. Hold on. No, 3. Yeah, 3 and under, you take the home team. Above 3, you take the road team.
Yep.
Because that means probably it's a field goal game,
yep.
And that's what they're betting on you, counting on. So I'm going to go with you. I think Virginia. Give me Virginia plus the 4.5.
All right, to the
especially if Morris is back.
Now we go to the SEC again. Number 11 Oklahoma at number 4 Alabama. The Crimson Tide are a 5.5 point favorite. And this is, in my mind, this is the game of the week. This is the one I'm most excited to watch on Saturday.
All right, what was the spread again on that?
5.5 in favor of the Crimson Tide at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
You go first on this one. I need to think a second.
I've gone first 3 in a row. We've picked, or 2 in a row. We've picked the same team every time. I'm going with Oklahoma in this game. Coming off a bye week, knowing Brent Venables and the way that he prepares, Alabama's strength right now is their quarterback. And I think giving Brent Venables 2 weeks and Goodwin 2 weeks to dissect Tyler Simpson, I think they're going to have an answer going into Bryant-Denny Stadium. I think this is going to be a signature. I think it's going to be a signature win for Brent Venables in this game. And I'm taking Oklahoma with the points. If I was, if I got bonus
plus 5.5
points,
Oklahoma.
Yep, taking plus 5.5. If I got some kind of bonus for it, I would take them straight up, but I don't, so I'm not doing that. But I'm taking Oklahoma.
Alex, I like everything you said. I do, and generally you should in the 5.5 game maybe go with the road team on this in the game. But Oklahoma just hasn't shown me consistently in a big game offensively they're any good.
Right.
I haven't seen it. Their defense I know is going to show up and play well. I know they are. But the offense has not shown up in big games at all this year, entire year. And this is a big game, and it's on the road. If this was in Norman, I would say maybe they can win this game. This is also a revenge game. Alabama got beat. Alabama's already handled one revenge team this year. And so I'm going to go with Bama minus the 5.5.
All right. Our first differentiation here.
Yep.
And we head to our 5th game, which is also in the SEC. The team that just keeps hanging around, Texas, at Georgia. Georgia is a 5.5-point favorite at Sanford Stadium. And I am going against the rule here with the home team. That's a 5.5-point favorite. I'm taking the Dogs because I don't think Arch Manning has it in him to keep it close. I don't. I think Gunnar Stockton does. I think he does.
Kirby Smart at home, going against a quarterback that hadn't looked good all year.
Yeah.
Why in the world am I going to pick Texas?
Yeah.
Nothing tells me to pick Texas here. I'm sorry. I'm with you 100%. I'm going with the Dogs as well, much as I hate to say it.
Yeah. And then our final game of the Pick'em is on Friday night. Will leaves tomorrow morning at 7:30 if you want to follow him up to Louisville.
Don't follow me.
If you do, it's going to take you probably 45 minutes longer to get to Louisville than you planned on it because
I'm going to stop and eat lunch.
Slow, and he's going to sit at Cracker Barrel for an hour.
Alex knows me well.
So Clemson at Louisville. The Cards are a 2.5-point favorite with Isaac Brown miraculously healed. Might be a good time to get in on the line, honestly. If Isaac Brown's actually healed, you should go on there and bet this right now. If you want to take the Cards with the points.
If he's really healed.
Yeah, if you can get it at 2.5, and you think it's going to move to like 4.5, or maybe you want to wait and you want to play Clemson with the bigger spread because you don't think Isaac Brown is healthy. But the spread's 2.5.
What do you think, Alex?
This is stupid. This is the stupidest pick that I've made all year. I shouldn't do it. I went against my gut last week because there was like some part of me that thought Clemson was going to beat Florida State. But I'm going with my gut here, and I'm taking Clemson with the 2.5. I think Clemson's going to be able to dink and dunk to move the ball down the field. And I don't think Isaac Brown's going to be fully healthy. And Clemson, I think, can take advantage of Miller Moss in coverage a little bit. I'm just not impressed with him. So I'm taking Clemson.
Okay.
The 2.5.
Yeah, I am with you on this, and I'm taking Clemson straight up to win this game. I think I like Clemson in this matchup. I think Tom Allen was hired for this game. Dabo Swinney pointed out how embarrassed they were. He talked about exactly what Louisville likes to do, how they want to, they're going to cut you on the backside. They're going to cut back and against the grain, and that is something they practiced all week. Could Louisville come out and try to do something different at the start of the game? Absolutely. That's what they'll do. But I think Clemson will be prepared for it. I think you're going to see Clemson get after Miller Moss. I think you're going to see Clemson play similar to what they did against Florida State and just say, hey, your quarterback's got to beat us. We're not letting your running back beat us like they did Florida State. And Florida State has 3 really good running backs, and Clemson shut them down last week.
Yep.
And I think Clemson can shut these guys down too, even if Isaac Brown is healthy. So I give me the Tigers straight up to win this game.
Amazing what can change in 1 week's time for Vandervort and I, because I would have taken Clemson with a 6.5-point spread last week at Louisville. But a lot can change in a week.
Well, the way they played last week, I think that says something. I think this team found out who they are.
Yeah, I think they did too. I think last week was a culture game. It was an identity game. And I don't think Clemson's overlooking anybody.
Remember, Clemson beat a Florida State team that just waxed Wake Forest the week before.
Yeah, a team that we thought found itself.
Right. And so they and a Florida State team that beat a Wake Forest team that continues to beat people and win games like they did last week when they went to Virginia and won. So that's what I'm saying. This is still the same Florida. This is still a Florida State team that beat Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay. And went up and down the field on them. And Clemson shut them down. This was a Florida State team that led the country in total offense. And Clemson held them to 360 season low.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the same Florida State team that led the ACC in rushing yards, and Clemson held them 130 yards under their average. Okay. This is the same Clemson team that held the Florida State team that was like top 3 in the country in points per game, averaging 40 points per game, and held them to 10 points. They found themselves last week. I'm telling you, they did.
And the other part of this is I want my alma mater to play well with my boss in the stands.
Yes, and that's the other part of it.
Gotten a lot of shade from my boss this week or this season and last season about Clemson. And I think Clemson's kind of on a prove it tour right now.
I think they are
kind of launched the prove it tour this week. And I think that they're going to beat a good football team this week. I really do.
I think so too. And another thing to keep in mind, the revenge factor. Clemson wants to go. They felt like last year they didn't take Louisville serious. Well, they're going to take them serious this year. Yep. And So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good game. I'll be there. You can follow it along at the Clemson Insider. Also with me at Steeler Will. For Alex Dodd, I'm Will Vandervort. We'll talk to you next time on Believe in Clemson Football.